And that was always a little weird for me, even though I knew I fit into that. But I was in punk rock bands, I was skateboarding, I was doing all the stuff that not a lot of kids were doing in the area that I grew up in. So I was kind of like in between everything. I'm like, what path do I take? I eventually rode my skateboard up to the first tattoo studio I knew about, Ken's Creative Tattoos, and it was in Batavia, Illinois. It had been there for 15 years. It was a kind of a biker studio, and that is a very broad way of thinking about it, because the things I was able to learn there, you know, that's for another time. If you get tattooed by me, I'll tell you all about it. But I eventually ended up going there, and there's this dude named Richie Rich. He was kind of like this, kind of looking down, watching TV. And I pop in. I've got my pompadour, and I got my skateboard, and I was like, hey. I was like this little greaser dude, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for an apprenticeship or anything. I can sweep the floors, do whatever. It's the first time I'd ever been in a tattoo studio ever.
So you didn't even have tattoos?
I didn't have tattoos. Well, I had some stuff that like me and my friends had did when I was in a punk rock band.
Sure.
Like, but it was all just like kind of stick and poke kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I show up, and the guy's like, hey, Ken, do you want somebody to clean the shop for a year?
That's nice.
But before he said that, he goes, hey, kid, why don't you get away from that TV? I'm trying to watch it. And I was like, oh, sorry, man. I was totally out of my element. This was like unbelievable. I was scared out of my mind. I was like, just kidding. Never mind. I'm going to go. And they're like, and then all of a sudden Ken chimed up. He goes, do you have any artwork? You got any artwork? And at the time I was in studio art in high school, so I had a bunch of stuff that wasn't relevant to tattooing at the time. Back then it was like,
it's like your portfolio, but it didn't.
Yeah, but back then it was like, I'm not saying that everybody was in tattooing for like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but that was the vibe there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I knew that there was fine artists doing cool stuff within the tattoo community at the time. And I was like, I want to tap into that. So he goes, Ken eventually comes out and he goes, you can come in from 4 to 10 every day. No pay. And that's that.
That so kind of sounds like most apprenticeships.
And so I worked at long story short, I worked at the golf course from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Went to the tattoo studio from 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night, probably usually till later. At that time, it wasn't like nobody was taking appointments. So you're just there.
What were you doing?
I was...
was he teaching how to draw or anything?
At that time, no.
Okay.
It was, you go to my house, you clean my house. Because I got a date coming over.
Pick some groceries up on the way there.
I'm going to give you a little bit less money than you need to go pick up this pizza. And then you're going to have to come back to get the rest.
Right.
And then you can't eat none of it. And you go over there and get your... whatever you need.
It was like hazing.
Yeah, quite a bit. And I think there was one time where they gave me $20 to drink like 10 things of hot sauce. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Did you drink it?
Of course.
Yeah.
I needed $20. For sure.
How old were you when all this was going on?
So it was right after high school. I was 18 years old.
Oh my God.
Or I was just turning maybe 19.
Yeah. They needed to make sure that you were like going to stick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was way younger than everybody. So.
Okay.
But for some reason, they gave me a chance.
Okay.
I think anything that I believe in, that they gave me a chance, and I appreciate them for that.
That's awesome.
It was a tough 2-year apprenticeship. It was a lot of me learning and pretending to belong.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
because I had a vision for myself that was completely different,
Yeah.
or what I thought was completely different.
Well,
And to be honest with you, I found out that they had the same vision for me after a period of time too,
oh, that's cool.
which was great because, you know, a lot of the things that happened in that time was like influential in my development as a person, development as an artist. But most importantly, like it showed me something that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like I was just a kid. I was raw. I was nothing at that moment until they actually showed me. They're like, no, you are something. Like, look at this. Like
That's
you are
cool.
doing things that are worth us teaching you stuff.
Something.
So that was my end, and once I did that, I was like, it's over now. Like I'm gonna be here every single day.
And you develop the confidence.
Like validated.
Eventually,
Yeah,
eventually. They were actually very good. Richie Rich and Ken Masick out of Batavia, Illinois, gave me my everything.
That's awesome. Did they give you your name too?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Can you tell us how you got that?
I became Adam the Kid. I was Hey Kid for a long time. It was, you know, clean this, go do that, go do this, which is normal kind of for that time. And still to this day, hopefully somebody is still cleaning a tube out
Right.
there.
Seriously.
I hope I wasn't the last person that had to do that. But once I was able to kind of like get into the environment, which was very raw. You're talking about a city that didn't like tattooing in their city.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Nobody wanted us to be there.
Okay.
So for them to allow me to be there that's all I needed. I was like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I need to do something. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit in front of a computer. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to do this.
So how long did it, from when you started your apprenticeship, how long did it take before you started tattooing?
It took me 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I started tattooing in 2004.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, so I started apprenticing in 2002, and then it took me 2 years of like getting punched in the face, all sorts of fun stuff. I had just recently found Chicago, where all the tattooers were hanging out. So I'm hanging out with all these musicians and people, and doing late night stuff.
Yep.
And
Fun stuff.
a lot of fun stuff. Yep. But also, I didn't really belong still at that point. That point, like I wanted something more for myself, and I'm not saying that like whatever they were doing was wrong. It's just like I wanted something more. I'm like, I need this to work.
Yeah.
I need to show my folks, I need to show people around me that I can be successful.